Son of a bitch.
Groovy.
Hey everybody, this is Matt Movies coming at you with my review of Nightbreed, the 1990 horror film that I gotta tell you right off the hop isn't fantastic. I think this movie always stuck with me. I remember watching part of it when I was a kid, and my parents were very, very freewheeling with the style of films that they let me watch. It's remarkable looking back on it that they let me watch so many horror films at the age that I was, but this movie, there's a moment fairly early on that they were like, nope, you leave this room. And my older brothers got to watch it, but I was quickly escorted out by my mother, and I was not allowed to finish watching this movie. But at the same time, there was a moment early on that always stuck with me. The opening of the film, where basically you get introduced to this world through the dream of the main character, where he's kind of running through this field and being chased, and the whole thing, that whole moment always stuck with me. I always liked the feel of that moment and how it really felt like you were entering into his dream. And I thought that was very well done, and just off the strength of that alone, I always wanted to watch the rest of this movie. So a few years down the line, I watched it and I was disappointed by it. I don't hate this movie. I think it's very interesting. I find a lot of it to be very compelling. I think there's some very interesting ideas in it. There are a couple characters that I find to be fantastic. I thought the makeup effects in the large part are fantastic, but I just feel like this movie falls short. It feels kind of skin deep. It starts to go somewhere. You get introduced to this world, and it's very interesting, but then it falls short, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't go there. It felt like it all of a sudden comes to an end very quickly, and just feels like it could have been so much more. And I think part of the reason why that's the case is because I find that two of the main characters are very unremarkable, and one of them is the lead of the film, and that's a character played by Craig Sheffer, who's gone on to a number of things. And he is this guy who finds out that he has a monster inside of him, and as a result he gets introduced to this world where there's all these monsters live, and he comes to understand that the monsters that there are all these myths and legends about are real, and that some of them are horrific and are killers, like we've always been brought up to believe, but a lot of them are just solid people, and they've had to go down and create their own little world because they were being hunted because of the fear that humanity has for them. And when he finds out he's one of them, he goes down into that world, and I feel like they kind of wrote him in a very skin deep way so that hopefully people might be able to relate to him, because if he was over the top in this regard, or he had this defining characteristic, it might make some people not be able to understand what he was going through. But at the same time, he feels very bland to a large degree, and even when he finally does, because you see this monstrous side of him, and he's a little bit more a little bit more aggressive, even then, to me, he's just a bland character overall, and there was never a moment where he was even remotely close to one of the characters that I was most interested in. And another, the woman in his world, his romantic interest is also very uninteresting to me. She kind of follows him down into this world because she's not willing to give up on him when he disappears, and so she tracks him down, and she kind of falls on the side of the monsters, even though she's putting herself in a little bit of danger because they're afraid of her because she's human. But she understands that he loves them and she loves him, so she goes along with it. But again, she's just there. She's not a character that I ever came to care about in any meaningful way. But on the other end of the spectrum, there is a character that I'm like, wow, that guy's awesome. And of all people, he's played by the film director David Cronenberg, and he's this doctor. And when you meet him, there's just something off-putting about him, and you're not quite sure what it is, but as the film progresses, you see this kind of dark side of him where he puts on this mask, and he's this killer, and he's very, very fearsome, and he is a human being, but there's these monsters out there, and it's very, very cool to have the fact that there's monsters that you are not remotely afraid of, but this human being who's monstrous is terrifying. And Cronenberg just does such a great job in it, and the role, I think, is fantastic. He is a very creepy human person in this movie, and you know, Cronenberg has some pretty freaky movies, so it may not have been the biggest stretch in the world for him to be able to act in a freaky manner. So, but I thought he absolutely killed it. And like I said before, I think the effects in this movie are fantastic. I mean, some of the designs of the monsters are just freaking awesome. I mean, there's a guy whose face looks like a moon shape, the moon crescent shape, and there's a woman with all these quills and all that stuff. And I think that so many of them are very, very, you know, visually fascinating to watch, and they add a great deal to this movie. And then they have these monsters that they hint at throughout the entire movie, that they're the beings that caused humans to kind of hunt monsters to begin with, because they're the old ones, and they are, you know, they're mindless, and they're just basically killing machines. They're the berserkers, and when you finally see them, they fall, for me, they fall wildly short of my expectations. I was hoping for so much more of them, but I really liked the concept of them, and the way in which they're written and spoken about is very, very cool. But and when I was talking earlier about the moment that my parents were like, nope, there's this guy who you find out early on, he's a monster, and the way in which you find him, his ability is basically he can pull things like flesh from his face, and so there's this moment early on where he like takes knives and he cuts around his face and starts pulling, and my parents were like, nope. But it's one of the moments that will absolutely stick with you in this movie. Overall, I think this movie is interesting. I've watched it multiple times in my life, and I'm positive I will continue to watch it multiple times, but I just really think it could have been a great deal more. And with it having Clive Barker behind it, especially, I mean, the guy was just such a horror master, and I feel like if he had been given his druthers, this movie would have been a great deal better. So those are my thoughts on Nightbreed. Let me know in the comment section below what you think, if you're a fan of it, if you've never heard of it before, if you think the concept sounds cool, whatever. Other than that, please hit that like button, hit that share button. It makes it much more likely that other people will find out this review exists and come and check it out and give me their thoughts, which would be awesome, because I love talking to people about movies. Speaking of which, if you are new here or you just haven't done it yet, please hit subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you can find out when I put out a new video and come and give me your thoughts. Aside from all that though, have yourself a good day.